Imagine the most intimidating Yakuza boss in Japan being reborn as a fantasy princess. That's exactly what happened to Nagamasa Ryumatsu after his death. Thrown into a world of magic and royal conspiracies, he quickly discovers that being a princess won't stop him from acting like a gangster. And that's where the chaos begins. Long ago, in a certain fantasy world, there were legends. It was said that when the world seems set to be swallowed by darkness, a hero bearing a symbol of the goddess of protection upon his back shall auspiciously appear before the people. Back in our world, Reiwa period, Shinjuku, Tokyo, we could see inside a bar, a man was being pressured for money by a group of gangsters. It seemed the man had fallen victim to their scamming scheme and was being forced to pay 500,000 yen. The gangsters were all smug, telling him calling the cops wouldn't work. They threatened him and his career, his families. Just when the man was begging to come home, saying he had plans with his kids the next day, feeling hopeless, a voice called out to them. A dive like this ain't the sort of place a guy who has a play date lined up with his kid should be. Just look at how cheap this place is. It hardly seems worth 500,000, yeah? One of the thugs responded to the voice. Hey, we're just wrapping up business here. If you're gonna just stand around, can't you go do it somewhere else, Gramps? The person behind the voice that just showed up was an old man in a casual suit. Though he had long passed his peak, he still carried a calm and confident manner with him. Behind him was one of his crew who quickly prepared him a seat. The old man continued, Yeah, I heard there was a kid playing with fire around here, so I was asked to come and stand around, like you said. My hip is killing me, though, so I'll sit down if it's all the same to you. He then handed the thugs his business card. On it showed his name, Nagamasa Ryumatsu, a member of the Shogak family, a Yakuza. The thugs were surprised. A printed business card? Whoa, they're here! Real-life Yakuza! Rare card get! This is some ancient history shit. Yo, mind if I post this on Insta? Seriously? The real deal? So cool! While they were laughing around, the old man, Ryu, quickly spotted the leader. The leader also noticed his gaze and joked about how he got his cool suit from. Still, Ryu was calm. He told them to close up the store and leave town that night. But the leader wasn't scared of him at all. Instead, he said, Huh? What are you, the fucking landlord? I don't remember seeing your name on the lease. He then grabbed a baseball bat from one of his goons. Swinging it around, he said, I don't force any of my customers in here. I don't beat up or kidnap people. None of that gang shit. The kind of shit you'd get up to back in the day. You guys have already had your run, so from now on, we're gonna change the face of this town. Those boring-ass mom-and-pop stores, we'll run them all out. We're gonna make these streets so fucking wholesome and sexy, he said as he swung his bat at Ryu. But Ryu immediately kicked him in the nuts. The leader was in pain. He stumbled on the ground, while Ryu complained about his hip again. He then said, You listening? I don't want to see you in my town again tomorrow. Ryu then kicked the leader as he was still on the ground and grabbed his nuts. Yo, pause. Anyway, he asked if the leader understood what he said, while his grip on the leader's balls tightened. In immense pain, the leader agreed. With that, Ryu and his crew left the scene. But before that, one of the leader's subordinates had already managed to record Ryu's face. The next day, Ryu hit the public bathroom. A kid saw his back and told his dad, Hey, look, that granddad's back is amazing. There's a beautiful lady on it. The dad, on the other hand, recognized Ryu as a Yakuza. He apologized for his son and quickly left, though Ryu didn't mind at all. On the other hand, it seemed his subordinate was mad that the thugs yesterday actually filed a complaint about them to the cops, despite they were in the wrong. He said that kids these days didn't have any honor. Ryu, on the other hand, decided to forget about it and enjoyed his milk after a refreshing bath, while the other guy kept on whining. Ah, geez, just what was the deal with those cops? They should know that the old man is someone who does things the old-fashioned way. Hey, pipe down, Ryu said. From the police's point of view, I'm just another gangster. After he got changed, he returned the locker key to the receptionist, thanking him, saying, You don't need to hold on to this locker for me anymore, though. It seemed this would be his last time there. After he left, the old lady, owner of the bathroom, found out about it, and she shouted at the receptionist, Idiot, Just what the hell are you doing actually accepting that? Your father told you before he died, didn't he? The dragon's locker is a good luck charm. But, Mum, if we have gang members in, the other customers… No, you idiot. The dragon is different. Do you know how much he's taken care of us over the years? As she said that, it was clear the old lady deeply respected Ryu, and she insisted they call him back. After they managed to call Ryu back, they gave him back the locker key, telling him to keep it. After that, Ryu's subordinate… God, please give him an actual name, please. Keep writing this word is driving me crazy. Let's just call him his friend. Ryu's friend noted how all the people from the older generation in town seemed to like and respect Ryu. Still, time was changing. Just then, after thinking for a while, Ryu said, I'm going to go and face the music. We may be a poor household, but it should be all right to impose on my brother every once in a while. Hearing this, the guy said, Old man, I'll spend the rest of my life waiting for you. Always, I swear. Hearing this, Ryu said, No, I'm just hoping the cops will give me a ride home since my hip is killing me and all. Ah, is that so? Just then, a man showed up in a car, asking Ryu to hold off on visiting the cops for him. Ryu recognized him. It was Shishido. Suddenly, Shishido bowed down and apologized for the incident earlier with the thugs under him, saying he wanted to take responsibility. Ryu explained, This is my sworn brother from the main family, Shishido. What happened was that the main family was having trouble with some 2-bit punks, so Shishido asked me to help deal with it for them, but eventually, just like I thought, the problems of the main family ended up coming to your doorstep instead. Yeah, but it ain't fair to call this your blunder, Shishido. Still, Shishido bowed down. I beg you, just for the time being, please lay low for a while. I'll make sure that the criminal complaint against you is dropped, so please just give me a little bit of time. Hearing this, Ryu's friend thought the plan was good for him. And after thinking for a while, Ryu asked where he should be laying low, and Shishido began explaining his plan. That night, 4 a.m., Ryu arrived at the port. Just when he was wondering why Shishido chose that time, a group of people suddenly appeared and came charging at him holding baseball bats. Ryu noticed them and tried to defend immediately. He narrowly dodged the first attack, but the sudden movement put a great strain on his hip, and he could feel it. Welcome to the baseball club, one of them said. It was the thug leader from the bar. He said, My magnum's got a lot to thank you for, Gramps. What do you mean? Since this time, it's your turn to get fucked. The only reason we set up that rip-off joint on your turf in the first place was to provoke you into doing something stupid like that so we could call the cops, meaning you'd end up in a place like this, just like how Mr. Shishido from the main family. On the other hand, Shishido was hiding behind a container, lighting up a cigarette. He said they were blabbering too much. The thug continued hitting Ryu, to which he desperately tried to defend since his hip had given out and he couldn't really move. Shishido? No wonder I felt like something was off back then. Shishido smiled and said, This turf of yours, it was just too fat and juicy a dish to resist. Thanks for the meal, you monster of the Showa. Ryu tried to fire back a punch, but he missed. The leader laughed. Oh ho ho, scary, Gramps. You still got moves, Gramps? I'm not pissing myself just yet, though. You know, I did all that back then deliberately just so we could catch it on vid, but I'll never forgive you for that shit, he said as he repeatedly smashed down on Ryu. On the other hand, Ryu thought, his moves, I can see them. I can see just where I should strike to win. But still, even if I can think of it, this miserly body of mine won't move the way I need it to. Those fists of mine that I've been fighting with all my life swing through empty air. How pathetic. How did this happen? I always tried to live the life of an upright Yakuza. Those guys, they don't even consider the lives behind what they're devouring. And as the thug landed a final strike on him, smashing his head back, he asked himself, Tenyo, was I wrong? Idiot. Since when is there even such a thing as a right or wrong answer when it comes to the Yakuza? It's always just been about what you could do, as well as for whose sake. As Ryu was falling onto the ground, he saw the locker key he received from earlier and remembered the smile of the old lady who had always trusted and respected him. He locked in. He charged at the thug, grabbing him in a takedown position. The thug was surprised. He tried to pull Ryu out, but accidentally ripped Ryu's shirt out, uncovering his back tattoo, Tenyo, the Celestial Maiden. Gritting his teeth, Ryu asked, "Can you see her, the Tenyo, you punk?" He then pushed himself and the thug out of the platform, down the ocean. "You're coming with me." Sinking down the ocean, he thought to himself, "Geez, this doesn't feel like good luck at all, if anything. This is a bad omen, Tenyo." As Ryu slowly lost his consciousness, he could see the Celestial Maiden looking at him from the water surface. She poked him in the chest with her finger, piercing through him, ripping his heart out. But before he could understand what just happened, his mind went dark. He died. Or did he? As he suddenly got a gasp of breath, coughing out water, he looked around to see that he was no longer under the ocean, but was then in a forest. A forest? My vision is blurry. What? Just now What happened? Just where am I? Did I wash up somewhere? He then noticed a group of people coming and thought they were there to finally finish him off. But as the group of strangers closed in, he noticed it was some people with strange masks and outfits, riding on weird-looking, almost monster-like animals. They looked really strange and off-putting. Hell? Are they doing some Halloween thing? These 2-bit, those punks were always messing with me. But isn't this a bit too much? Make fun of someone too much and eventually they might just. While thinking, Ryu tried to move, but his clothes were all tangled, which pissed him off. He tried to rip them off of him. The enemies looked at Ryu. They said, She still moves? That was enough magic to stun a giant 10 times over. Impossible. Was it still stopped by that magic-resistant royal blood? What do we do now? Just then, a massive orc showed up. What do we do, you say? The plan hasn't changed. The poor princess, eaten alive by goblins. It just has to look like that's what happened. "You guys, don't get involved now." Licking his lip, the orc said, "The royal blood. That's what you were talking about before, right? I'll keep that royal heart intact, though I might give it a little chew, little princess." Just as he said that, he got too close to Ryu, but Ryu had had enough of this bullshit. He smashed the orc's face to the ground in one hit, while his ragged clothes were torn away, revealing his Tenyo tattoo on his back. Ever since he got up from the drowning, it seemed he wasn't in his original body. His body was now of a little girl. Still, with the tattoo and the power, it was unmistakably him. He was pissed. Looking at the enemies, he glared at them. "Are you ready to get your molars ripped out straight through your taints? In the first place, just who the hell you think you are trying to take someone's life wearing this crappy costume?" he said as he tried to tear the orc's face out, thinking it was just a costume. The group were terrified. Has she always been this strong? This isn't the princess then. A body double? Did we somehow end up being the ones getting screwed over? Retreat! Impossible. That naive princess. Just how much did she learn of our plan? With that, they retreated their squad. On the other hand, Ryu was noting how she couldn't really peel the orc's face off. She thought they were really overdoing it with their cosmetics. Then she noticed a group of small, terrified goblins, and she thought they were kids and wondered why they kinda had the same masks on them. Still, she left the dead orc there for the goblins. Wandering around the forest, Ryu thought about how easy it felt to move her body. She could feel her heart beating faster. But as she pushed her hand against her chest to feel the heartbeat, she was met with a rather soft texture on her chest. Squish? Squish? Just then, a voice called out to her, "Your Highness!" It was a knight and a mage who were really worried. They thanked God she was safe and referred to her as Princess. Ryu didn't think they were calling her. She looked around to find the princess, but the knight hurriedly got close to Ryu. Call her Princess, which startled her. She grabbed his collar and was about to punch him in the face. Wait, hold on a moment, Princess. The knight apologized. Once he was let go of, he whispered to the mage, just now, our princess, who would never even hurt a fly, was she about to hit me? What is the meaning of this, Nui? The mage, named Nui on the other hand, said, you're too close, Sir Giovanni. I'm sure it's just the side effects of some strange magic, or she's confused. I see. For now, we must see to the princess. I'd do it without you asking me to. Rather, you should make sure that you don't make the princess suffer any dignity. All right, clothes, and please do not look. After a while, Giovanni handed Ryu a mirror. Looking at Ryu's reflection, it was of a young girl with long, flowing hair and large, gentle eyes gazing softly toward the viewer. She's dressed in an elegant, frilled gown featuring puffed sleeves, a laced corset, and decorative ribbons around her waist and wrists. Her delicate features and graceful posture give her the appearance of a refined, noble princess. And Ryu was in total shock. What the hell is this? Back in the old world, in the Yakuza scene, there was once a feared man with a tattoo of Celestial Maiden on his back. They said if you get hit by him, you would be paddling up the river Styx in no time. The rampaging Good Omen. That guy, he was Ryumatsu, the dragon of Shinjuku. Back to the present, Ryu was checking between her crotch. It's gone. Like, I'm a woman? Nui looked at her questionable manner and said, Princess Ryu, I regret to inform you of the following, but you are our Lundberg's princess, Sanaria Ryu Lundberg, a noble lady of high birth. Giovanni worriedly chimed in, therefore, you cannot sit with your nether regions exposed so indignantly, Lady Ryu. I shall not see my Giovanni's teachings lose out to some dunce's fool magic. Hearing that, Ryu was confused. Nui then continued, saying that she believed what Ryu told them was probably due to some kind of temporary magic, though the part that she was lured out by enemies who wanted her life was correct. Thinking about it, Ryu cursed Shishido for betraying her, while Giovanni apologized for his shortcomings. Nui then asked Ryu to eat something, though for the time being she said they didn't have many options worthy of nourishing her. She then handed her a basket of strawberries. Giovanni saw this and worried that those were such inferior foods for her. But to their surprise, Ryu really liked the fruits. She asked for some more, to which Nui happily said yes. Digging in the strawberries, Ryu thought, just why are they so damn tasty? While Nui said, I'm sorry that's all I have, but I'll buy some more when I can, okay? On the other hand, Giovanni was glad Ryu didn't run into the goblins in the forest. Hearing this, she said she had taken care of the big one, but Giovanni just laughed, thinking she was joking. After all, the goblins were peons in service of the Demon King and would subject anyone they found to untold horrors. Is that so? Ryu said. Giovanni then continued, saying they couldn't identify the group that chased after her, though Nui was sure they were from the faction backing Ryu's brother as the next king. But Giovanni heard this and scolded her. Nui, do not speak so thoughtlessly. Still, Giovanni continued, it's true that the situation is currently hard to discern. It's for that reason that until things have settled down, it would be best to remain in the shelter of the king of Daniemi for the time being, seeing as he thinks highly of you, Lady Ryu. Please forgive me for the uncomfortable arrangements until we arrive. Hearing this, Ryu said, basically, until things simmer down, I should be hiding behind the skirts of the boss in this Daniemi place, yeah? Though Giovanni questioned her weird use of words, it was probably it. Got it. So the missy with the long ears. My name is Nui. Princess Ryu, you personally took me into the royal court. Have you truly forgotten me? Okay. And you over there? Of course, I am none other than the man who has been serving you since your childhood, Giovanni Saltman. So you've forgotten about me, is that so? With that, Ryu asked, I guess it's fair to call you two my underlings, right? Yes. Then for now, I'll be counting on you. After a while, Giovanni suggested they should stop in the princess's town of Tashtoria briefly before crossing the border. It was a town built for the destitute that Ryu once took in the past. The town of Hope, Tashtoria, where there was the beautiful windmill, the pride of Tashtoria, built by the princess opening the royal coffers. Except the part that this town looked completely haunted. Everything looked deserted with human skulls laying around. The supposed golden field of wheat also looked more like a toxic wasteland. The town was not like Giovanni remembered at all. Giovanni was shocked. On the other hand, Ryu didn't think she hated it at all. Just then, she noticed and asked, "Oi, what's that? What pig is walking on two legs? Some kind of funny circus in town?" To Giovanni's surprise, it was an orc. What kind of monstrous species is doing there? There were even thieves with a bounty in the royal capital. He was terrified. That looks like a black market. And look at all these roguish people milling about. I see. I must have somehow gotten to the wrong town. But Ryu assured him that they got the right place down. After all, she could see her own statue in the town square getting pulled down. Can't help but wonder about the taste of anyone who'd build a statue of themselves, though. At this point, they had all realized that this town wasn't how it used to be anymore, and it was dangerous now. Giovanni was furious. He wanted to cut them all down for disrespecting Ryu. But Ryu told Nui to stop him, but Nui said she didn't want to touch a man. After that, Giovanni decided to rush to find out just what was happening to the town, while Ryu and Nui noted how lively this guy could be. They then went and moved the carriage, but before leaving, Ryu noticed the children of this town staring at her. Those kids were bruised and dirty with several injuries on them, and Ryu couldn't help but do something. She said, "I'm actually a little interested in this town, and when it comes to getting the lay of the land, it's gotta be a place like this," she said as he pointed to the nearby tavern. They then decided to head into the tavern. Inside the tavern, Ryu began chugging down barrels of liquor, saying that it tasted awful. Nui insisted that at least let her test for poison first, but before she could do so, Ryu had already finished an entire barrel. Nui was shocked and said they shouldn't draw people's attention like that, and those filthy men were staring at us. To which Ryu said it was because of Nui's beauty, flattering her. Nui blushed. She awkwardly sipped on her drink while saying, "Oh, no, that's... Lady Ryu is much prettier than I am. Saying something like that is just..." But as she drank, Nui noticed something with the drink's taste. Just then, the owner called out to them, "You two, I don't know where your noble folk are from, but you should hurry home. Didn't you see the royal statue out front? Apparently that princess was targeted in the capital as well. Resentment has been building up against the nobles and such for a while now around here. Guess this was the spark. Well, that princess really didn't have much going on behind that pretty face of hers. Abolition of slavery, mixing together many different folks and creating an equal society, they sound great, but not a single one of her ideas was well implemented. And since she never came here, she probably didn't even know just how much she ended up being hated." Hearing this, Nui was about to defend Ryu, but Ryu stopped her. After all, each turf has its own boss. Though in the past, the princess was the one throwing money in, she never showed her face. Could she call herself a boss after all? Just then, one of the kids entered the bar. She wanted to show them something. The owner intended to kick her out, but Ryu stopped him. She thought that that kid had the same eyes as the ones outside. The kid then showed them some kind of medicine. She demonstrated by cutting her own arms. though she trembled as she did so. She then rubbed the medicine on it, and the wound seemingly healed, though Nui whispered to Ryu, saying that it was just styptic medicine. It may stop the bleeding, but does nothing to treat the wound beneath. Still, to everyone's surprise, Ryu decided to buy all of it. She explained, "The fact that such a good girl has to do something like that is a way it's my fault, ain't it? So I'll take the lot." As the girl thanked them and left, Nui asked why would Ryu do that, to which Ryu told her to see for herself. Outside, there was a man waiting for her, a ringleader. If that kid didn't fill her quota out, who knew what would happen to her? Nui finally understood why she did that and thought how awful the life in this town was. Outside, the little girl still got beaten anyway for not trying to milk for some more if she had found an easy target like that. Nui saw the man beating the girl. She turned to Ryu, but before she could finish her sentence, Ryu had already dashed out of the bar. Holding the mug, she punched it squarely in the ringleader's face, sending him crashing into the door behind him. Nui was flabbergasted. Her supposedly cute and gentle princess just sent a grown man flying. Shielding the girl, Ryu glared at the man and said, "Oi, you want something done? Put your own skin on the line. Leave the kid out of it." And Ryu looked so cool saying that Nui's heart genuinely skipped a beat. She blushed. Eh? Huh? This is bad. Just what am I? No, that aside, Lady Ryu and that reprobate. Impossible. Has she awakened to her guiding tree? The royal family's guiding tree? Crawling on the ground, the man was furious. He said he was going to kill her and pulled out something. The crowd recognized what he just took out. They were terrified, referring to it as dusk, and began backing up, not wanting to get caught up in it. The man began laying out a board, using a knife to chop down several lines of some kind of flour. At this point, we could all tell that it was drugs. The crowd was amazed. The man was going to do 3 lines at once. But before he could finish, Ryu kicked the board away. "Ah, idiot, that's top-grade stuff. I only got to do 2 lines. Ryu, on the other hand, wouldn't let him finish his words. She punched him in the guts, but suddenly, the man said it didn't hurt anymore, and he wasn't scared of anything then. Nui saw this. She noted how it seemed the man's guiding tree stretched from his nose all the way to his wrist. Ryu punched him in the face again, shattering his bone, but the man wasn't fazed at all. She continued hitting him, but it didn't seem to be effective. He swatted Ryu away, sent her flying. Nui saw this and immediately casted a spell to create a bubble of water to catch Ryu as she landed. "Lady Ryu, please escape, I'll hold him off." Hearing this, Ryu said, "Escape? No need. The only one doing any escaping is that idiot. From reality, that is. Even if he escaped from the pain, he didn't escape my fist. I don't know how many blows landed, but that nosebleed doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon." They turned to the man to see his face completely messed up, and he suffocated from drowning as his own blood blocked the airflow. He collapsed on Nui, which made her terrified and disgusted. "How dare you bleed on me like that?" On the other hand, Ryu said, "Geez, acting like you were immortal or something. Maybe I'd have left it at that if you hadn't started snorting that blow in front of me." She turned around to the crowd, asking if they were on the same shit, and she was pissed, wanting to punch the man one more time. Just then, the girl from before rushed close to the man, putting the medicine on him. She said, "Daddy, this'll make you all better. Daddy." Then the girl noticed Ryu. She quickly shielded the man, pulling out a knife. She said, "Go away. Don't do any more mean things to Daddy. Don't bully Daddy anymore." Seeing this, Ryu was silent for a moment. Then she raised her hands. "Oh no, you got me." She then asked that the girl forgive her and put the knife away. Then she asked the girl to take a look at the man. Ryu pulled the man's smashed nose out, releasing the blocked nasal path, letting him breathe again. Still, the blood was still spilling out. Ryu told the man that don't forget to be thankful to your daughter who wanted him alive. Then she started shoving the medicine in his nose, stopping the blood. Don't forget that. And if you ever happen to forget, I will personally come and remind you. Now then, someone guide me. Thinking they can peddle trash like that here, show me where the bastards who have set up shop on my turf are hiding." Walking confidently down the town, Ryu said, Show me where they are, those bastards thinking they can peddle trash like that on my turf. Looking at her, people began recognizing her, the princess. Still, she seemed to have a different vibe on her than they imagined. Just then, Giovanni called out to Nui. He asked if that was some fools disguising as Ryu, but Nui said that it was actually their princess. Hearing this, Giovanni decided to pick Nui and Ryu up, acting like they were from a circus. He told her not to go around with those valuable costumes, trying to hide their true identity. "Let go," Ryu said, to which Giovanni begged her to play along with the story for the time being. But Ryu immediately hit him in the face before the shocked eyes of Nui. It seemed Ryu wasn't having any of that. "Let go," she said again, but to her surprise, Giovanni wasn't fazed. He kept looking forward, saying, "For now, please listen to the information I've managed to gather, Lady Ryu. If you could listen nicely, I would be most grateful." Hearing that, Ryu finally calmed down and listened to him. Once they had left the scene, Nui said it was filthy and begged Giovanni to let her go, while Giovanni was just glad none of them were injured. Just then, Ryu called out to him. She apologized for hitting him, but Giovanni couldn't pay any attention to that. He was terrified to see blood on her clothes. "Lady Ryu, blood, there's blood." "Ah, it ain't mine, it's something of a souvenir." "Souvenir? Well, I should be relieved, but recently things have seemed awfully bizarre." Giovanni thought to himself as he saw Ryu trying to take off her bloodied clothes, not caring about revealing her skin at all. Nui was terrified too. "Ah, Lady Ryu, your corset! Lady Ryu, just how could you go and start changing in public when people could be watching?" she said as she hurriedly took Ryu into the carriage. Thinking about it, Giovanni was worried, so he tried to peek into the carriage, thinking, "It's unthinkable, but could she really be a different person? Bro, the only thing unthinkable here is you as an old man peeking into a princess's changing." Looking at the image of the celestial maiden on her back, he thought, "That's right, that image upon her back. Just since when did Lady Ryu ever have? It's reminiscent of the kingdom's guardian goddess. Indeed, there was that legend passed down the royal family line about." Just then, he heard Nui saying that Ryu shouldn't act so reckless, even if it was to save a little girl. Hearing that, Giovanni was relieved. Indeed, then it's unquestionable that she really is Lady Ryu. Then laying down that rogue is simply a testament to Lady Ryu's growth, is it not? Ah, how splendid. Just as he said that, Nui bursted out of the carriage, catching him peeking, and she immediately activated her power. Giovanni was terrified. "Wait, don't use your powers so wastefully." But Nui just shot him in the face with water magic, saying, "Utterly filthy." Nui then insisted that Lady Ryu was in fact Lady Ryu. She then went to prove it by checking out Ryu's hand. Ryu asked what Nui was doing, to which she explained that in this world, there was a thing that was called the guiding tree, which reflected everything about a person's life, and Nui was one of the few who could read it. Basically, it was like a fingerprint and the foundation of one's power. After that, Giovanni showed them what he managed to gather. It was a pouch of dusk. That's right, the universal enhancer, so to speak. The drug that has recently swept through the royal capital in the blink of an eye, enhancing physical abilities, awakening guiding trees, improving stamina, heightening awareness, and above all else, an intense sense of euphoria, and evil poison that gives anyone who takes it delusions of omnipotence. Hearing this, Ryu said, "Those skillful punks that slice this stuff together can do whatever the hell they want to themselves for all I care. But when they start trying to overflow the streets with the stuff, not sparing a thought to the lives they're ruining, then we've got a problem." Giovanni agreed with Ryu. The effect of dusk in the town was apparent. When high on dusk, one can completely lose themselves to their passion or rage, becoming addicted and criminal, affecting others' lives, especially children. Ryu then asked how far had dusk spread throughout the town, to which Nui noted that she could sense traces of dusk in the food and drinks they were served at the bar, though just a small amount. Either way, it seemed the whole town was affected. They speculated that the drug was being mixed into the wheat at the windmill that Lady Ryu paid to have built. Just then, the girl from earlier showed up. She tried to peek inside the carriage. Ryu asked what she wanted, to which the girl told Ryu that a person, Sir Bruce, was looking for Ryu, and it was dangerous. Hearing the name Bruce, Giovanni couldn't believe it. It seemed he recognized this person. Ryu asked who this person was, to which Giovanni explained, "Lady Ryu, you had this town built in order to provide a place for the desperate and destitute. But naturally, there was someone who was placed here to protect and administer the town in your name. One of the kingdom's knights, Zig Bruce." The scene transitioned. Inside the town's windmill, we could see a group of children who were being worked to the bone. It seemed they were being controlled. On the other hand, a man was sitting there. He said, "Turn, turn, until my windmill is repaired. You've got to keep it turning. After all, what you guys are grinding is some specially made wheat. With just a little of power, you guys can keep on turning for 24 hours a day, non-stop. Usually, people would have to pay a fortune for what you guys are getting. You brats really are so lucky. Well, I guess I should be thankful as well for this wonderful windmill and the princess who gave it to me." Back to Ryu's team, she asked if all they had to do was take out this Bruce guy. She and her team were hiding from Bruce's underlings. Giovanni said that the situation was bad and they should retreat from the town for the time being. They should focus on getting Ryu across the border first. Once the disagreement with her elder brother has been settled, only then they should come back to take care of this situation. But to his surprise, Ryu did not like that plan. She just couldn't sit on her hands and ignore the kids suffering, while she went tucking her tail to hide behind someone else's skirt. Ryu then said she would just go and beat the hell out of Bruce, but Giovanni desperately tried to stop her, saying they were far outnumbered, and they need a plan first. Hearing this, Ryu asked if they could use the big animals she saw pulling the statue down earlier to break into the windmill. She also said that back in the day, she used a digger to crash through the wall of a rival's office, which shocked Giovanni and Nui. Still, that wouldn't work. There were kids inside the windmill. They could be dangerous. Ryu then pointed at the animals pulling the wagons about. She asked if they could get her the biggest, fastest one in town, to which Giovanni said, "Your Highness, in that case then, your own pig birds are some of the best thoroughbreds in the kingdom, let alone this town. The princess's beloved pig birds, Usain and Bolt, the names you gave them, have become very well known by all." "Really? Somehow those names sure sound fast. Must have been the wind." Next up, Ryu asked about Nui's magic. Nui then said that it was also an ability from her guiding tree, which awakened through training. These abilities can also be passed down through the family line and thus will be engraved upon your guiding tree. That's why when you beat that disgusting man earlier, I thought that you would awaken to the royal family's abilities, Your Highness. Next up was the location. Just when Ryu was thinking about one, she looked out the window and noticed someone. Outside the market, a small goblin was running around, musing at how many humans were there. On the other hand, the big goblin, the one that Ryu beat back in the forest, turned out he was still alive. Holding on to several other small goblins, he was worried, telling them to stop running around since the town was dangerous. Just then, someone called out to him. He glared back at that person, only to find out it was Ryu of all people. His eyes damn near popped out of his head from fear. He crouched down immediately, asking for forgiveness. Please forgive me. I have to take care of my children, all of them. It's not what you think. The human skulls I wear as a necklace were also fake. It is just a replica. We can't eat human meat either. We just like to eat fruit. We all live in the forest, it's just that sometimes some humans from the kingdom make us do jobs for them. So I only tried to act terrifyingly when I'm at work." Hearing this, Ryu asked Giovanni if he knew anything about this matter with the kingdom, but he denied it, saying he didn't know anything. Ryu then got close to the goblin. "Your kids, you said you had 45 of them, right?" "Yes." "Ain't that something to be proud of?" "No, But you know, taking care of that big a household must be tough, right?" "No, well..." Then how about you help me out with something and I'll return the favor. You definitely won't regret it, all right?" Seeing Ryu say this with a cold smile on her face, the goblin broke out in cold sweat. Back in the windmill, Bruce's underlings were shipping out large numbers of meat and booze. The shipping volume was wild, but in reality, it was just to distract outside factions from noticing their actual product shipment: the drugs. Over there, a guy asked Bruce what he thought about the story about the princess going on a rampage, saying that it must be fake. Still, Bruce grinned, chugging down a barrel of booze. He said, "Even the fake version of that dunce princess really is just as useless. Just no matter where she might be hiding, When I catch her, she's as good as dead." Just as he said that, a random carriage which managed to hide among the other shipping carriages dashed by Bruce. Inside the carriage, hands reached out and pulled him inside. The underlings just then turned around and noticed. They screamed, telling the others they were under attack. But before they could do anything, the carriage had been long gone. It was just too fast. Inside the carriage, Bruce's head was submerged in a water bubble. He slowly ran out of oxygen and lost consciousness. After a while, when he woke up, he found himself inside a forest and his whole body had been buried underground, leaving only his head while surrounded by a group of goblins. What's going on? No way. This is the cursed forest? Just then, Ryu appeared behind him. She asked, "Yo, boss, bet it's hot in there, ain't it?" Hearing this, Bruce tried to look behind. That voice? I see. The princess, huh? But is this all right with you, princess? Loitering around here like this? You barely escaped with your life from the capital, right? That's because you got betrayed, little princess. You don't have any eyes to judge people, and you've got no qualities of your own either. All you are is an airheaded girl with a royal title. You surrounded yourself with toadies whilst getting high off the fumes of your own hypocritical vanity. Well, you got anything to say about that, princess? But to Bruce's surprise, Ryu was unexpectedly calm. Keep blabbering as much as you like, since pretty soon, the only thing that your mouth of yours is going to be doing is screaming. She then turned to the goblins, asking if the concrete had been done yet. On the other hand, the goblins were making a batch of concrete. Hearing their laughing and chanting, Bruce broke into a cold sweat. What is this? Clay? What the fuck is this ritual? And why the hell are you working with goblins? Besides that, just what is this pressure? This terrifying presence? Just what the hell is this? Just then, Bruce's underling showed up. The boss, there he is. I see those bastards as well. So this is where they ran to. Seeing them, Giovanni urged Nui to take Ryu and ran away, while he tried to hold the enemy back. But just then, Bruce said, "Just where do you think you're going, little princess?" He opened his mouth, and on his tongue was a pill. It was dusk. Biting on the pill, Bruce said, "The cause of all this is you. You who made me a tool just to boost your own ego. All those kids without any families, suddenly making me the babysitter for all of them? And just where the fuck did you disappear to? I ain't gonna rot away in a place like this. I'm gonna look down on all of the people that spat on me. This power of mine is what's gonna take me up the food chain. I'm the man who'll become a sword master and the head of the Order of Knights." As he said that, he transformed into an ugly, grotesque figure of a monster, ready to attack Ryu. Looking at him, Nui was flabbergasted by the power of dusk. The user's emotions and desires, it is meant to intensify and enlarge them, but this is just ludicrous. Nui then urges Ryu to run away, but to her surprise, Ryu kicked Bruce in the knee, making him lose balance. If you can't even handle babysitting some kids, then that whole night dreams of yours, it ain't worth a damn, she said as she landed a powerful uppercut to his jaw, sending him flying. Giovanni, Nui, and the goblins were left speechless. Bruce then landed on the ground head first, while Ryu said, "Sorry about that. You're probably not bad in a scrap, but when you've brawled against Americans like I have, you ain't much." Internally, she thought to herself, is it because of this young body that my actions can keep up with my thoughts again? I could see the winning strike just like before. Not to toot my own horn or anything, but I really do have a mind for brawling, don't I? Looking at her, the bandits were terrified. They ran away. The big goblin also grabbed his kids, saying they should go home. Giovanni asked if Ryu had awakened her royal guiding tree, but Nui said that when she examined Ryu's guiding tree before,
nothing had changed. So just from whence did her power arise? Ryu then asked, that guiding tree thing, it was showing up on Ear Missy's arm, wasn't it? My name is Nui, but yes. Think of it like a pattern engraved with the abilities that a person has acquired. Simply put, the longer the pattern, the more abilities that person has. Hearing that, Ryu still didn't really understand it, but they had something more important to do, which is figuring out how to handle Bruce now. Giovanni suggested handing him over to the Order, then investigating the Dusk. But Ryu said, you really are young, ain't ya? If your head is full of that much steam, eventually it's gonna come out your ass.
Giovanni suggested handing him over to the Order, then investigating the Dusk, but Ryu said, you really are young, ain't you? If your head is full of that much steam, eventually it's going to come out your ass. She then said that they should leave it to her, as she knew how to treat drug addicts. They then tied Bruce and some of his underlings to the tree. Bruce kept on shouting, saying he would kill them all. How repulsive. Ryu asked Bruce, did you know you can't pick up those pills of yours with a pair of chopsticks? They're too soft. They just dissolve into powder when you try to pick one up. So what do you think will happen when you fill your body with that same stuff? What you get is the inevitable fate of your demise. A stupid way to die. Ryu then signaled Nui to cover Bruce and the others' head with water, forcing them to drink it all or else they would die. Nui then hesitantly touched Bruce's stomach and pulled the water down along his guts, forcing him to vomit out everything. Ugh, Bruce was terrified. Wait, hold on. On the other hand, Ryu said, lots of water and lots of getting it out. This is a good way to start getting the drugs out of your system. Looking at them, Giovanni was terrified, thinking of it as a terrible method of torture, both dehydrating and subjecting them to such a shaming. On the other hand, Ryu told Nui to do it 10 more times. After that, Ryu forced them to work. I'm going to give them a lesson in manners. You'll be working from dawn until dusk, and when you ain't working, you'll be sleeping. We can get you some routine in your life, and at the same time have you clean up the town you've messed up. 2 birds with 1 stone. Bruce argued that she couldn't make him do the hard cleaning since she just broke his knee earlier, to which Ryu said she would let him do something else. It was toilet cleaning duty. In this world, especially in this town, the toilet is just straight up a pot, with no pipe or water system whatsoever, and they would have to clean it out manually. Bringing the pots to Bruce while Nui insisted that she shouldn't touch those filthy stuff, Ryu said, for now, just focus on cleaning the pots, and to make sure they're done perfectly, you'll take a drink from them. What a horrible thing to do! And looking at how Ryu was reminiscing about her past life where she had to do it for real, you knew she was serious. While cleaning the pots, one of Bruce's underlings kept puking back into the pot, to which he demanded Giovanni take that guy to clean somewhere else, since that guy huffed dusk through his nose. He was really sensitive to any smells. After Giovanni took the guy away, Bruce sat there alone, continuing with the work. He thought to himself, first I get my leg broken, now I have to put up with this shit? What next? Gugh, this pain again. Just then, the girl who sells medicine from earlier took a peek in. She noticed Bruce was feeling pain, so she handed him one of her medicine. Looking at Bruce, thought, I get it. She thinks I helped out her dad, is that it? Then she must not know who I am. Just some clueless brat? He then shouted at her, saying he don't need it. But the girl insisted, saying that Princess Ryu said the medicine worked well, and she didn't need any money from him. She just wanted to say thank you. Looking at her gentle smile, Bruce couldn't help but feeling guilty. Shit, this stupid kid. Damn it. Later that day, Ryu checked on Bruce to see him already finishing everything. I'm done with the lot. Drink as much as you like. Nah, you want a drink, do it yourself. You? Tch. Listen, princess, there's a place I want to show you, Bruce said. Hearing that, Ryu agreed. They then went to a site at the corner of the town. Giovanni insisted that it might be a trap, but Bruce denied, saying, what are you talking about? It's just a reservoir. Well, I suppose it's a little different to the typical one. Nui couldn't help but notice the smell. The air smells sickly sweet. It's as if something is rotting. The plants and the trees as well. They're rotting away. Bruce began explaining.
One day, the wheat around here started to grow like crazy. And at the time, the price of wheat was soaring. The wheat that was being carefully selected to the ground was fetching insanely high prices. Eventually, merchants and traders from all over came here, and trade routes were being planned. But we had no idea just what had sunken into the water here. No, I still have no idea. But maybe if I did, I could have. Just as he said so, Ryu slapped him in the face. In my world, what ifs suffer fools. Focus on the here and now. So, you're saying there's something in the water? She then jumped down the swamp herself, looking for anything strange, despite Nui and Giovanni urging her not to. Gotcha, Ryu said, as she pulled out something the shape of an oversized finger. Suddenly, it opened its eyes and bursted out a massive magical fog covering that part of the forest. Everyone was worried about Ryu. The fog shaped itself into the figure of an arm, putting its grasp in the forest. Trees and plants that made contact with the fog suddenly withered. Nui tried to call for Ryu. Just what is this? Lady Ryu, Nui is coming to help you now. Please hold on. Just then, Ryu answered her calls. She was fine. Yeah, and I figured something out as well. It's a pinky finger, and just how ridiculously huge whatever this finger is coming from is. Geez, who the hell would just go ahead and toss something like that into a pond? And people were drinking the water from here? But it really was rotting away in there, Ryu said as he broke the finger into pieces with just a little bit of effort. Suddenly, the fog dissipated, and the sky cleared. Looking at what just happened, Ryu knew for one thing, someone is eyeing up this county like it's a fast and juicy dish, she said as he looked into the pond, while Nui looked at her back from behind. She was mesmerized with the guardian goddess on Ryu's back. Far, far from the town, under a volcano, someone just noticed the disappearance of the finger. My little finger! Who has made it disappear?
Back in the town, the water had returned to its original state. Though there was still mud from the reservoir, it would thin out over the next few days. Ryu then called for the townspeople. She brought Bruce with her, telling him to apologize, to which he hesitantly bowed his head. Giovanni then said that it would take about 3 days to restore the statue that they pulled down, but Ryu said they shouldn't bother with that. After all, the town was still in bad state, and she wouldn't want the villager to waste their time worshipping a princess who may as well be living on a different planet to them. Instead, she picked up a stone. Why not take whatever frustrations you got on her instead? So let's make it a ritual to chuck 1 stone a day at that statue when you walk past it. It'll keep up appearances until I can figure out just who it is in this country that's trying to screw me over too, she said as she threw a stone at the statue herself, tipping it over, catching the workers who barely managed to put it back off guard. With that said, Zig Bruce here really did leave this town in one hell of a shitty state. Giovanni then asked what they should do with Bruce, and on the other hand, Bruce said, "That's right, but don't think you can make it just with some play acting, princess." Giovanni was furious at Bruce, but Ryu quickly stopped him. She said, yeah, that's just it. You ain't a bad actor at all, though, either, are ya? That's the spirit, Bruce. That performing passion of yours can come in handy." Wait, huh? You… back off! I still am! Bruce was still trying to glare at Ryu, but Ryu immediately closed the distance. "Don't make light of me." She then grabbed his nuts, holding his future children hostage, and said, "For the sake of what you did in this town, and those kids who are still struggling to make it day by day because of those drugs, I'll have you take responsibility by putting the knowledge you have of this place to good use. Don't let me down," she said as she squeezed her hand tightly. Bruce was perplexed. Just what the hell is wrong with this chick? Ryu then continued, "Well, even if it's just because of a twist of fate, I'll leave my turf in your hands. Let's drink it with a cup of sake." Everyone heard this and were confused. What even is sake? Huh? You guys ain't got sake, huh? Then some glasses from the bar'll do. Go and grab some. With that, Ryu told Bruce to sit down. Between them was a table with 3 glasses of liquor. Everyone wondered what they were doing. Ryu asked, "You don't even know how to sit Seiza style? Too uncomfortable for you, huh?
Just sit cross-legged like an Indian then. First, pour some drink into one of the glasses we've got here. Since the alcohol here still has some of those drugs in it, then the water from this morning should work fine. Then you take the water in that glass and divide it equally between the two other glasses. Looking at them, Nui wondered if that was some kind of ritual magic. For those who don't know, Ryu is essentially performing a ritual called Sakazuki Goto. In this case, an equal divide is probably called Kyodai Sakazuki, one that is used to establish a brotherly bond between two people, mostly in the Yakuza scene.
Take this, Ryu said. I'm fine not doing all formal things like this, but since you ain't a Yakuza but a knight instead, doing this kind of thing seems fitting. Listening? Drink it in 3 gulps. After that, we'll be brothers. Holding the glass, Bruce remembered his past. Zig Bruce was the second son. Although the Bruce family was a legacy house of knights, apart from inheriting first son, other offspring had no place in high society. He was only seen as a substitute should something happen to his elder brother. No matter how much reputation he gained as a knight, he would always live in his brother's shade. To Zig Bruce, that's all that it meant to be a brother to someone. But now, looking at Ryu's gentle smile as she said she would be counting on him, Bruce couldn't help but feel a warm emotion rising inside him. Ryu then stood up. All right, that's settled. Bruce asked, so who's the big brother and who's the little? Huh? Of course, I'm the elder brother since I'm older than you. Hell, I don't get it. I seriously don't understand you at all, damn it. Still, it was time to move on as Ryu said she would be leaving the town. Looking at her, Bruce thought for a moment, then kneeled down and said, this time I swear to all the gods above that I will serve you well. But to which Ryu said, idiot, since when do brothers serve each other or any of that crap? If you need something to serve, then serve this town. With that, Ryu's squad left the town to continue with their journey. On the way, though, it seemed Nui was sulking for some reason. Ryu turned to ask Giovanni what was wrong with her, only to find Giovanni was also sulking. Is this about Bruce? Just why would you trust that man's man so much, Giovanni said. And to go even as far as to call him a brother? You need to be more aware of just who you're bringing into the royal family. On the other hand, it seemed Nui was jealous. What about... No, I mean, please choose your partner more carefully. Hearing Giovanni and Nui kept blabbering on and on, Ryu asked, the one who originally made that punk the knight to take charge of the city was me, right? Then it's on my ass to see it through to the end. It only makes sense, right? That's... Nui finally agreed to Ryu. She told Giovanni that it would be better if they had Ryu with them, if he could use his position in town to help identify their pursuers. That would be of great aid to them, though she was pretty sure those were the swordmasters from the order being commanded by Ryu's brother's faction. Hearing this, Giovanni tried to argue, saying the order would never do such things, but Nui brought up Bruce, who was from that exact order, and a prime example, which Giovanni couldn't argue back. Ryu then said, until we know just who it is that's trying to screw me over, I reckon we should get back to ducking across the border for now, though it may be difficult for them to leave without any trace. Just when Giovanni was trying to wrap his head over how they could quietly cross the border, Ryu suddenly dropped to the ground. Noi rushed in to take a look at Ryu, to find that the guardian goddess on her back was pulsing in power, and Ryu could also feel it on both her back and arms. Suddenly, she could sense something was coming from above. She looked up to see something blasting through the clouds in the sky. What? What is that? A shooting star? That way is Lady Ryu's windmill? And just when the town was back to a new start, everyone was looking forward to a new Bruce who had redeemed himself. That thing flying straight at the windmill, blasting it down. It fell down the town, demolishing buildings, killing bystanders. Landing on the ground, it appeared to be a demon. Ow, 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 safe landing. I've arrived. The sun really is shining today, ain't it? The demon was holding its comrade, a girl who was being controlled by it. It apologized for the rough handling. Looking up at the windmill, the demon said, now then, it was around that windmill over there that his little finger disappeared.
Honestly, he sure is a worrywart, huh? Around the demon, some people were stuck under the debris trying to get out. The demon said they were gross and stomped on the debris, killing them. The demon then noticed the medicine girl lying under her father. It mused, "Oh ho, not bad, not bad. Just the right size. I love it. She's already been affected by the dusk, so I can use her straight away. This is the best. You think so too, don't you, honey?" It said as it held the controlled girl's head. "Yeah, I've made up my mind. I don't need you anymore." The demon then threw the controlled girl away, leaving her landing head first on a rock nearby. It then looked at the medicine girl. "Now that I get a better look at you, you're even better than I thought. Full marks. You're the creme de la creme. From now on, you shall be my heart, my sweetheart." The demon then grabbed the girl with its tentacles. The girl tried to escape, but the demon asked, "Oi, oi, why all the tears? Demons like me, we don't do well out under the sun like this. Unless I can borrow a person's heart, my blood'll start to boil away. So stop struggling. Compared to the other trash, I'll treat you real special, my sweet." Just then, Bruce jumped in on the demon. He used his power to create a mouth from his stomach, chomping a piece of the demon. The demon immediately realized it was the result of dusk. On the other hand, Bruce understood the situation was grim. "I've never seen something this weird walking on two legs. Is it a demon from the 8th layer? Monsters from the depths. I heard that they used humans as external organs, so it was true." The demon looked at Bruce and asked, "That mouth, I must have taken some training. Perhaps you were the one." The demon then took out a demonic smartphone? "Hello, hello, it's me. Can you hear me?" "No, I can't hear a thing. Really, I can't get a dang signal. Hello? Can you hear me? Demon King." As the demon said that, Bruce's body suddenly bursted out blood. His body was collapsing.
Whoa, gross. Well, that's what happens if you go ahead and chomp down on my blood, I guess. Besides, whoever it was that made that pinky finger disappear is to be eliminated anyway. The demon continued the conversation on the phone. "What should I do? Kill? Huh? Leave it to you? Geez, don't blame me if something goes wrong this time." Sure, I got it. Be careful, okay?" Bruce couldn't understand what the demon was talking about. He tried to dash at the demon, attacking it. But as the demon confirmed its location with the Demon King through the phone, behind the mountain from the distance, a massive tentacle emerged and shot itself straight at Bruce, ripping him in half. Bruce didn't even have time to understand what just happened. He fell to the ground, while the demon confirmed through the phone that the tentacle hit its mark, thinking they finally got rid of the person who made the pinky finger disappear. After that, the demon turned to find the medicine girl. It followed the sound of the girl's father coughing and found her. But to its surprise, standing between it and the girl, it was Ryu, who hurriedly made it back. And on her arms, there were patterns of guiding tree coming out from both of her arms, which caught the demon off guard. "Why do you have guiding trees going up both your arms like that?" But Ryu wouldn't spare a second to answer. She activated the second guiding tree from her right arm, and the guiding tree spread its roots out, showing a plethora of powers and skills that awakened with the memories of her past life. Ryu wind up her punch, activating several skills. Each of them was named. Smash him, smash his face in, smash his vitals up, smash him out of rage, and the last skill, smash the shit out of him. With that, Ryu unleashed a powerful punch, drilling the demon's head into the ground. Back in the past, Ryu once taught his underling how to form a fist. "Ow, that hurts. That hurts like hell." "Geez, how pathetic. Didn't you ask me to teach you how to make a fist? Look, like this. Starting from the first join, you curl the tip inwards towards the bad of the finger. Imagine a steel plate. You would roll it up to squeeze out any impurities. After you're done, you secure the fingers with your thumb. There isn't a single thing in this world that could break this fist. I call it the Iron Fist. As the scene transitioned back to present, Ryu's fist drilled into the demon's skull, blasting its face off. Looking at her, Bruce thought, what the hell? Just what the hell are you? How do you have two guiding trees growing? It doesn't make sense. Just then, Nui and Giovanni rushed to aid Bruce. Zig Bruce, are you all right? What a state you're in. Hearing this, Ryu asked if Bruce would be okay, but Nui said the wound was too severe. Bruce was beyond the point of return. Yeah, nah, my boy Bruce is not surviving this, bro. Even Gojo died with his body cut in half with a clean cut. Bruce got his shit torn off, bruh. Guts are spilling all over. Hearing this, Ryu said, Is that so? You gave it your all, didn't you, brother? To which Bruce smiled, gasping for breath. He said, I've still got some more in me to show. Internally, he couldn't help but look at Ryu. So this is my older brother, huh? Just then, the demon got up and was furious, asking how Ryu got two guiding trees. I see now. Two guiding trees. Are you a Samara user then? Samara means the endless cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Suddenly, Nui noticed something about the demon, and she panicked. She immediately chanted a water dragon spell, shooting at the demon. But as the water got close to the demon, it just dispersed. The demon asked, What was that just now? Was that water shot out from your thighs? How salty. Looking at it, Nui realized that this was a demon pure breed, an archdemon. Suddenly, the demon grabbed her leg and picked her up. Waha! Well, if it isn't an elf, I found myself something juicy. Since you damned elves always curse your long lives in your final moments, I find them absolutely hilarious. I'm going to enjoy playing with you for a long time. Giovanni tried to attack the demon, rescuing Nui, but to no avail. The demon laughed on his weak attack. But suddenly, Ryu dashed in and delivered a powerful strike in the demon's stomach, loosening its grasp on Nui. You're the bitch from earlier. Nui tried to tell Ryu to run, but Ryu immediately landed another blow on the demon. She then stomped on its head, making it bounce off the ground, setting up to land another attack. But suddenly, the demon grabbed her hair. The demon was pissed, just with the look on Ryu's face. Nui was terrified. The very existence of an archdemon affects the force field of this world. It's a walking disaster. Even its very breath is tactical level magic. Lady Ryu! The demon blew its flame breath at Ryu, scorching her. Nui panicked, thinking she wouldn't survive it. But to their surprise, Ryu launched a barrage through the flame, hitting the demon. What? You're on fire, you know! Your body's melting! Why do you not flinch? And to begin with, how could a mere human maintain their sanity within my flames? Is your mind still connected through sheer belligerence? What is up with this woman? Ryu then landed another blow, blasting the demon away. Crashing through the walls, the demon wondered, what the heck? Why does the sunlight hurt this much? Oh yeah, my sweetheart. I abandoned her that time. So that's why. If not, I wouldn't be to the likes of some human. Just then, Ryu walked toward the demon and screamed, No, I'm not afraid of that girl, as long as there isn't sunlight. Just then, from behind, a sword pierced the demon's skull. Around it, several people appeared out of nowhere surrounding it. They pinned the sword down on the demon. The demon struggled, trying to shake them off with its fiery breath. But suddenly, a voice spoke out. Sword prison! Upon the chant of magic, the swords that pierced on the demon's head were suddenly covered in mana. They drove the demon down to the ground. Standing before the demon, it was a man in a commander's attire who just used the sword prison spell. He ordered his teams to secure the demons and clear the miasma. Ryu was pissed, though. How dare these randoms butt into somebody else's fight like that?
But Giovanni quickly stopped her and explained, "Lady Ryu, have you forgotten? That is our kingdom's esteemed chivalry order." Hearing that, Ryu asked if they had set their sight on them, but Giovanni insisted, "It is all right, Lady Ryu. If you look at me, I am sure you would understand. The chivalric order respects the law, respects justice, and respects the populace. I shall go and have a talk with them." Walking toward the commander, Giovanni thanked them to save him, but to his surprise, the commander pointed his sword at Giovanni. "Giovanni Saltman of Lundberg's Imperial Knights. You're just a groveling knight who was assigned to the royal palace after quickly climbing the ranks because you were a former king's horseman. That groveling must have surely been for these series of events." Giovanni was confused. He asked what they were talking about, to which the commander continued, "Lady Cenaria Ryu Lundberg's attendant, the Imperial Knight Giovanni Saltman. Similarly, the Imperial Sorceress Nui Alma. We are to arrest the two of you in accordance with these wanted notices for the attempted assassination of Princess Ryu and," he said as he pointed at Ryu, "the imposter over there. You are charged with attempting to impersonate the princess to overthrow the kingdom." Hearing this, Giovanni was shocked. He tried to defend Ryu, calling the knights insolent, to which the commander wondered who the insolent one there was. After all, the true Cenaria Ryu Lundberg is currently in the capital, under the Elder King's care. "What?" Giovanni said. "How did such a mistake?" But the commander interrupted him, saying, "It is impossible to mistake our beautiful princess. The imposter over there, her complete lack of grace has been evident the moment she stepped foot in this town." As he said that, his underling explained, "Yes, first of all, the instant she arrived in this town, she went off and binged at a bar, and from there she assaulted a girl's father right in front of her. She coerced a timid goblin tribe. She kidnapped, confined, and subjected to revolting torture the guardian knight of this town, Zig Bruce, and there are tons of other trivial reports as well." Well, they couldn't argue against that. The knights then collected Bruce's body, saying that he was manipulated by those hoodlums. They then threw his body onto a carriage while Bruce was still letting out some weak breath, saying he would be crucial as evidence for the case. Looking at that, Ryu just smiled. She immediately grabbed a big mug and smashed the commander in the head. She then punched him in the stomach, but he narrowly blocked it. Glaring at each other, Ryu said, "You might as well add to the hoodlum's crimes obstruction of justice and aggravated assault then, dickwad." Hearing this, the commander smiled. "It's my first time meeting such a compulsive girl. It seems you've already revealed your true colors, you fraud." Just then, the demon started moving again. The commander was surprised. "It's not a common demon. Then a grand one? No, it can't be that it's an archdemon. Just what did this girl fight against?" Just then, several barrels of wine fell down between them. It was the townspeople. They said that it was an accident since they were digging out the barrel, but the commander already saw through the act and knew they wanted to help Ryu escape. He thought he should chase after Ryu's squad, but he thought it back and decided it was more important to suppress the demon once again. On the other hand, Ryu managed to escape. The townspeople had prepared her wagon. Ryu asked if the townspeople were okay, to which the bar owner said, "We had some injuries, but this is a dodgy town after all. Even our emergency preparations have limitations. But, though the symbol of our princess's town may have collapsed, us residents are still going on strong." Just then, they noticed the night order had blocked the main road and told Ryu to escape through the reservoir site. Before she left, the medicine girl asked, "Princess, where are you going?" Hearing this, Ryu smiled. "I'll be back, because if not, I won't be able to call this place my territory anymore." And with that, they fled the town. Moving to the next town, Giovanni apologized for letting Ryu get involved in such a grim matter, but Ryu didn't mind. Thinking about it, she had always traveled through back alleys her whole life. There was no way she would get herself caught. Days later, we could see Ryu complaining about how she was going to get blown away by the wind because of her frilly dress, to which Giovanni apologized for not thinking it through. They were climbing, traveling through snowy mountains, which were called the Dragon Fins. Since checks had been tightened around the border, they had to take this route. Well, it was cold, though. Ryu couldn't help but sneeze, and Nui complimented her cute sneeze. Though Giovanni had heard that criminals had used this route before, he didn't know it would be this dangerous. He then pointed at a gorge in the distance, saying they should take shelter from the blizzard for the time being. While going, Nui noticed some letters on the boulder nearby. But before she could really take a look at it, Ryu sneezed again, this time sounded like an old man. Suddenly, the snow was disrupted, creating an avalanche coming right at them. Nui guessed that it seemed the spirit of snow got startled. Giovanni urged them to run, but Ryu said that there was no way they could make it in time. Just then, Nui stopped them. She said she was going to knock on a gate. Pointing at the boulder with letters, she said that there was a secret village there. Though she wanted to avoid them, it seemed they didn't have a choice. Nui then interacted with the symbol, and it created a small passage. Giovanni said that it was too tight for him, but Nui just shoved him in, and somehow they managed to enter the village, escaping the avalanche. Looking around, they were inside a village deep under the cliff. The weather seemed calm, unlike above. Giovanni said, This is one of those secret elven villages that are scattered all around the world." Nui then explained, "Yes, of course it is different from my hometown, though." Hearing this, Ryu asked why Nui was hesitant when they entered the village, to which Giovanni said, "It is because Nui is a half-dark elf." So? The reason is unknown, but dark elves are often said to bring bad omens, and this is another reason that is unknown, but somehow, elves are on extremely poor terms with the dark elves. See? He said that as they were already surrounded by the elves of the village with arrows pointing at them. The old elf glared at Nui, but suddenly he just sighed. You're Ash's daughter. Pan, was it? No, that is not right. The elves were trying to remember. She must be Kance from Tanta's place. No, that's Taki, isn't it? It doesn't matter who she is anymore. Are those humans that you brought along? Have you started to even aid fugitives across the national border now? Hearing this, Nui was confused. Either way, the old elf said, It's written all over your face, and it's not like you're going to tell me the truth anyway. Do whatever you like then." With that, the elves just left. Giovanni were speechless. Why would they put their guard down so easily like that? From their attitude toward Nui, they seemed to have mistaken her for somebody else. Still, Ryu decided to take this opportunity and find the person they mentioned who helps people cross the border. After a while, they arrive at the place of a male dark elf, or not, more like an elf that was tanned. As he lifts his sunglasses, his eyes widen in surprise when someone catches his attention. Around him, several elf girls are lounging comfortably, some leaning against him while he admires Nui's tan skin. It seemed in this particular village, getting tan skin was a trend among the younger elves. One of the girls even showed her tan sun mark made out of runes. Looking at them, Nui was intrigued. With that, Giovanni started negotiating the price to get them across the border. Though he didn't have much on him, he promised he would pay it back in the future. But the male elf refused the offer, saying it had to be in full. Nui then offered one of her magical items as payment, but the elf also refused it. Instead, he grabbed Nui's hand and started touching her body, saying she would make a good payment. He was excited to see a real dark elf. Nui screamed in shock. Ryu also told the male elf to let go of her, saying she was not that kind of girl. But to their surprise, the male elf reached his hand out and grabbed Ryu's chest instead, saying, "So you'll take her place, then, shorty." Nui and Giovanni were shocked. They immediately went into killing mode, but Ryu was calm. She stopped them, saying it was not a big deal, though she couldn't tag along with what the male elf wanted. With that, the conversation was over, and the elf told them to head home. While heading back, Giovanni was fuming because of the elf's disrespect. But Ryu tripped him down, telling him to stop. After all, to her, it didn't seem like there was no room for negotiation, and she planned to wait and see for them. They then managed to find an inn to stay in. Seeing Nui, the old elf lady owner of the inn, was stoked. "Oh my, welcome, Pan-chan. You're Pan-chan, right?" Nui was awkward. It seemed a lot of people mistake her for somebody else back then. The lady then looked at Giovanni and Ryu, asking, Are those your friends? Pon-chan has always been friendly with everyone since long ago, hasn't she? Just then, she noticed Ryu was staring at a sword hanging on the wall. Oh my, curious about this sword? That's my family heirloom. When the Elf King secretly stayed in this village, he became pleased with my inn and at that time bestowed it to me. After that, the lady showed them their room, telling them not to tell anyone about it, since the other places must have refused to let Ryu and Giovanni stay. And lately, the son of the village chief has been causing a lot of mischief.
Though if it was for Ponchan's friends, the lady was happy to welcome them all. With the lodging finally settled, Giovanni stepped outside to guard the room, while Nui and Ryu got themselves a quick wash. Seeing Nui creating water to wash herself, Ryu asked if it was her sweat that she was using, to which Nui was flustered, saying that it was water gathering from the atmosphere through the spirit. Ryu then asked if Nui could use it to make them fly, but Nui denied, saying most of her spells were water. Ryu then asked if she or Giovanni could do the same thing, to which Nui said while it wasn't impossible, Giovanni and Ryu's guiding trees focused on using veins inside the body, unlike Nui, who used veins to extract mana and influence the environment. The difference lay in the way each of them utilized the veins that carried mana. First are spells, techniques that affect the spirits and force fields of the external environment, though it burns more mana. Second are skills, used by concentrating veins into part of your body to achieve various buffs or effects. Hearing all this, Ryu couldn't quite keep up with it. Nui continued, whether it be a spell or a skill, there are many ways to acquire them. Training, talent, inheritance, nature, environment, customs, things like that. And it is reflected through a person's guiding tree, and by looking at it, you would get a glimpse of a person's life. In Ryu-sama's case, guiding trees manifest on both of your arms. Originally, it would only appear on the left arm, which is closer to the heart. Looking at her arms, Ryu thought for a moment. She then decided that her brain only worked for fight after all, and she didn't really understand anything, nor did she think she would figure out anything useful. Which is why she smiled as she said she would go bow down to those elves earlier, begging them. Hearing this, Giovanni couldn't grasp it at first. Okay, wait, huh? Why is Ryu-sama to wretches like those? On the other hand, Ryu said that it was going to be fine. She only intended to talk. Just then, they noticed a commotion downstairs. In the hall, the male elf was asking the lady to pay affiliation fee, though the lady had never heard of it. The elf continued, saying if she didn't pay up, he would consider her an enemy. Snatching down the sword on the wall, he said, "An inn in a secret village? Who would come and stay here? Don't get delusional, you old hag." He then said he would take the sword, as it was the most expensive thing there, but as he tried to unsheath the sword, it didn't budge. What the hell? It's bloody rusted. It ain't budging. Jeez. He said this thing pissed me off as he smashed the sword on the table, shattering the sheath. As the sheath broke, so did the lady's memories with it fall apart. She fell to the ground, trying to gather the broken pieces. Just then, her husband got back. He panicked and rushed to her side. Looking at her, he was furious and tried to attack the male elf with his guiding tree. But before he could, the male elf drew his knife and slashed at his arms.
I severed part of your guiding tree. The aggressive magic I picked up in the Free City is more practical in a fight than this snooze-fest village, you know. Holding on to the husband, the lady told him to get out, but he insisted they still had business unresolved. Just then, Ryu walked down, her face smiling. The male elf recognized her and said, "So you are staying here. I overlooked it earlier because of the dirty cloak, but the thing itself seems to be donning high-class gear, huh? If people like you were to bow your heads and plea, I suppose I could listen to your talk about illegally migrating to the Free City, you human nobles." But Ryu didn't say anything. She wore a bright, gentle smile while reaching her hand out. I guess we all know what happened when she smiled like this, as she immediately grabbed the elf's shirt and drove her head straight into his face, headbutting him. The elf was surprised. Ryu then went and picked up the sword. "Granny, don't worry, only the scabbard broke. The blade's covered in rust, though, so this blade's got spirit, huh?" On the other hand, the male elf tried to wipe out his bloodied face. Damn, this guy is ugly. He said, "What the hell, bitch? Don't joke with me, you wench." But Ryu quickly kicked him against a wall. She then struck the blade down on his ear, but the blade was stuck in the wall behind, only closely stopped before slicing his ear off.
Ryu continued, "Messing around's fine. You do that sort of thing when you're young. I messed around with my back too, after all. However, it's a whole different story if you go overboard." Grinding his face against the blade, Ryu said, "We all that Yakuneta, a Yakuza joke. That is, for youngsters who fuck around, we discipline them." As his ear slowly made contact with the blade, the village chief rushed in. He was complaining about how his son causing commotion again, saying today he was sure to not take it easy on him. But to his surprise, his son was laying against the wall, his face grabbed by Ryu's hand, with a blade that was sinking deeper and deeper down his ear. He begged for mercy, begging his dad to stop Ryu. The chief was flabbergasted. Ryu then turned to him. She smiled and said, "Yo, long-eared boss, properly show this little shit how you go about wiping your ass." She said that with a beaming smile. Light sparkled around her. The chief was speechless. With that, Ryu started lecturing them about how not to let youngsters grow to become a terrible person, while the chief shoved his son's head to the floor, apologizing, saying his son was still a 70-year-old kid. Hearing this, Ryu was confused. 70 years? On the other hand, Giovanni was shocked that those prideful elves decided to bow down to Ryu, while Nui said, "I suppose you could say that Ryu-sama's words here are strangely persuasive. I cannot quite put my finger on it, but she is mesmerizing."